So today there's two things. One, we're going to tap into multiplying and adjust the shortcut we used to do. And then we're going to see where that leads us somewhere else. And then I have a thing about money that I need to drop your way. So early in the year we had some problems like 5 times 1,000, but we had a shortcut to multiply problems like that. We're going to have to adjust that today. But to do 5 times 1,000, what was the easiest way to do a multiply like that?
Times 5 by 1 and then just add 3 zeros.
Correct. So 5 times 1 is just 5. And then if this has 3 zeros, we can just tack the 3 zeros and do that. When we into decimal numbers now, that trick doesn't work so well. Okay, so on this, if you took 5.1, 5.1 times 1 is 5.1. If you try to just keep that the same and then tack the 3 zeros on, that is not a right answer. 2 days ago, what did we learn that's supposed to happen to something like this anyway?
You just get rid of the
We're
zeros.
supposed to get rid of those zeros. So we'd start with 5.1, we'd multiply by 1,000, and we'd end with 5.1. Why is that crazy?
Because when we times it, they're supposed to take off the zeros, so it's still going to end up being 5.1.
That's true, but why is 5.1 times 1,000 still equaling 5.1 like a crazy idea?
Because it's the crazy idea, because you're pretty much just taking away the zeros entirely. It's just 5.1 times 1.
That's true. What should happen to us if we multiply something by 1,000? The result's going to be,
You add 3 zeros on here.
yeah, but it's going to be way, way
Bigger.
bigger. Here, it like ended up staying the same. Okay, here we started with 5. We got way, way bigger up to 5,000. That seemed right. But the decimal messed that up. Okay, so we've got to adapt our process a little bit. Does anybody know the shortcut for this already, how you can multiply a decimal number by the stuff with zeros? Well, good thing I'm here. What we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal point itself to the right based on the zeros you see. So since I see 3 zeros, I'm going to take this decimal and I'm going to bounce it to the right 3 positions. That's going to make some empty positions. What should I do with the empty positions? Fill zeros in. So this would be 5,100, which seems a lot better because I had a number, I multiplied by 1,000, it got way bigger. That seems like we're on the right track because we are. Additionally, if it's 5-ish times 1,000, you'd expect it to be 5,000-ish anyway. So it's a little more than 5 times 1,000 is a little more than 5,000. This is a quicker move because you only have to move once. There's 1 zero, so take your decimal and go 1 position. So this answer would be 23.4. This one, how much moving are we going to do this time? 3. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Answer?
4,670.
Agreed. Question about that move? If you can multiply with the shortcut, it sort of invites you also to divide. Multiplying and dividing are kind of the same, but they're more or less opposites. So if we're going to divide by 100, instead of breaking out the box and putting 100 out there, that's not necessary at all. You could do it that way, but it's not necessary to do it. Does anybody have a reasoned guess as to how you think we would divide by 100 based on what we just did a minute ago?
Bounce to the right.
Not quite.
Because the other guess I have is you bounce to the left.
We're going to bounce to the left. Okay, since multiplying and dividing are opposites, if multiplying is taking you to the right, dividing is going to have to take you to the left. Multiplying makes things get bigger, dividing makes things get smaller. Okay, so if we just go left, we'll be fine. So here's my decimal. How many bounces left do I want? 2. Because there's 2 zeros. So answer would be?
0.4589.
Yep, decimal point at the beginning, 4589. This one, how many are we bouncing? 3. So bounce, bounce, bounce. Decimal.
0.0
this one, bounce it
Twice.
twice, final answer.
0, 0, 0. No, it should be 2. Wait, no. 0, 0, 0, 2.
Okay, where's the decimal? Because you didn't say a decimal, so that's why I
Oh,
asked.
point 0, 0, 0.
Decimal's going all the way to the beginning. Boom, boom. Created 2 empties, so 2 new zeros, the 0 we had before, and a 2. And now that I'm done with this column, I realize this is maybe not the overall greatest example set ever, because I left something out. So let me throw you a well, what if. What if the number didn't have a decimal? So if we go back to this, and I don't see a decimal, where is it?
Invisibly to the right.
Invisibly to the right. So if we go redo this problem now with a decimal invisibly to the right, which way did we bounce to multiply? Right, how many bounces this time? 3, bounce, bounce, bounce. That still works, okay? So this new trick kind of took over for the old trick. We don't need the old trick anymore. If you understand the new trick, just use it in every setting, you'll be fine. But if I wanted to do 5 divide 1,000, the decimal's still there, go left, 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 and we'd get grand total. Somebody, anybody?
250.
No, we're just going left, 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 it still has a 5 in it. Point 005, because we created the 2 empties on the 5. Question about this, multiply right, divide left, based on the zeros.
What if there's a number, like 1 or 2 or
Okay, that would be a
7?
slightly different trick, but you could still use the trick. If this was dividing like 2,000, you'd have to go 5 dividing 2 to figure out that that's 2.5.
No, I mean like what if there's a number in the place of one of the zeros?
Then you can't do this trick at all. It has to be stacks of zeros at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you had another number with a stack of zeros, you can divide the numbers to get a new number and then do the balance. So if I had like 3.7 times 4,000, you could just do the multiply like 3.7 times 4, you know, do that out with just like a little bit of space to get a 14.8, then take the zeros and bounce, bounce, bounce.
Okay.
That would be easier than like, you know, zeros like this pyramid of zeros before you uncovered the 148 stuff.
Okay.
Question else, anything about that first bit of lesson, anything? Okay, second thing we'll talk about is money, and this is more just knowledge probably than it even is math. I think you know if you talk about money, there's like 2 different sorts of systems that we could use to express money quantities. So like if I whipped a nickel out of my pocket, which I don't have a nickel in my pocket, but we could express that 2 different ways.
You could call it a cent.
We could do something with cents. So if I pulled a nickel out of my pocket, how would we express that using like cents style writing?
It'd be like a C with a line in it.
Okay, there's
Or
a
like
C with a line in it, that's true, so that's the cent symbol. And where would I put the 5?
Before the C.
Before the C.
Point 0.05 cent sign.
You got that crisscrossed with another thing. If I decide to go with a 0.05, that's in the other part of the world. What is that?
Oh, wait, wait,
How else could I do?
That'd be a dollar sign.
Yeah, dollar sign. Where does the dollar sign get written
The
though?
left,
To the
half the
Correct. Okay, so when you write money correctly, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're going to use cents style writing, it's whole numbers only, never any decimals in cents, and the cent sign always goes after. If you do the dollar sign way to mark prices on things, the dollar sign's always first, and there's always a decimal, and you've got to fill 2 positions. If you walked into a store and you saw this, okay, that doesn't actually mean what they want that to mean. Okay, this is like an employee, or maybe even an owner, I don't know, who's trying to put a 7-cent price tag on something. That's not what they did. How much is this really? What would that mean?
That's a decimal over cent.
That's like a decimal portion of a cent, okay?
They made it lower than the actual price.
Right. So if you went in and you bought 15 of those items, that would become 1.05 cents, which means you would need to essentially give them
1 penny,
a penny,
and then a half of a
and then
penny.
you owe them like a little bit more of a penny. You know, if you bought 14 of those items, you'd land at this. You could pay them with a penny and they owe you change. They owe you like, you know, get out your wire trimmers and cut off a little bit of the copper or something from the edge. Cut off Abraham Lincoln's hat or whatever is going on the
Yeah.
penny.
Bye-bye.
You know, that's less than a cent. So you can't go less than a cent. So all that to say, cents have to be whole numbers. You can't put decimals in the cents punctuation. Another thing I'll see a lot in stores is people putting stuff like this. And I mean, just it's wrong. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's not how that's supposed to be written. You're supposed to always put the cent sign on the right. You're supposed to always put the dollar sign on the left. So if I tell you we have 14 cents, but I want you to write it a different way, you could also write
$0.14
.14 with the dollar sign
on the left.
on the left. If I come along and I say dollar sign 72, you could change that into
72 cents.
72 cents. Or if I go dollar sign .03,
3 cents.
3 cents. But again, the important concepts. Cent sign's always on the right, dollar sign's always on the left. Dollars always has to have a decimal, and cents never has a decimal. In the homework, they'll give you some mixed money problems. So they might say $4 minus 23 cents and tell you they want a dollar answer. Or they might tell you you have $0.12 and 9 cents and they want a cents answer. If they give you a mixed money problem, what you want to do, at least in your mind, is to make them both be the
Dollar.
well, maybe dollar, but at least they have to be the same, okay? So if they want a dollar answer, you want to think about both of those in terms of dollars. If they want a cents answer, you think of both in terms of cents. Let's do the cents one first, okay? So if I want a cents answer here, leave the 9 cents alone, and at least in your mind, turn this into a cents style thing. Cents here would be
12 cents.
12 cents. 12 cents and 9 cents makes 21 cents. If I go do this one and I want a dollar answer, we need this to be more written as a dollar style. What would the dollar style of this be?
1.23.
0.23. How are you going to subtract a 4 minus a 0.23? What's our decimal key for subtraction? Decimal subtraction key move.
Line it up.
Line it up. So the 4 doesn't have a decimal to line up, so where is it?
At the right.
At the right. So there's a 4 point, line up the decimal, there's a 2, 3. When we make our decimal, keep it lined up. We're subtracting. What are we going to have to do to be able to successfully subtract that? Borrow. To even borrow though, you first need some zeros at first to work with. So 4 becomes 3, temporary,
9, 10,
temporary 10 to reborrow to make 9, 10, 7, 7, 3 now because we borrowed. Why would I give you only half a point for that answer?
There's no dollar sign.
You want the dollar sign. So it's important for money to have those symbols on there, because if you say how much, you go in a store and you're like, how much is this? And they're like 5. You're like, that doesn't help me. $5 is way different than 5 cents. We need those symbols on there. Question about money, question about the moving around the decimal shortcuts. We're going to head to 2 spots because we have 2 skills to practice. So the first spot where we'll go is the 121. 121 is the short stop. 121, we're just looking to do the A to H. So 121, A to H, what that's gonna do is money problems. So there's gonna be a series of problems like these, just a handful of letters on 121. The main bigger homework is to the back, there's a set T. Set T is gonna do the stuff like the notes that I erased to write the homework in its spot. Again, multiply, you're gonna move the decimal right, and then halfway through the set, they'll switch and start dividing and you go left. So as you do set T, make sure you're paying attention to the fact that halfway through, it switches the problem types. Tomorrow, we'll go through those answers, I'll answer your questions. I have a worksheet that we can like practice what's on the quiz, just to fine tune a little bit, and then we'll take the quiz tomorrow, and that's our week. Grade period's ending, so any old homework that's missing from anybody, I need that today or I need that tomorrow, because we are running out of days.